Hello, welcome back to Heal Out Loud. And in today's segment, Rewiring the Brain, we're going to be talking about something that a lot of people struggle with, but not many people talk about. And that is the limiting beliefs that come up around Christmas time and family dynamics. Because let's be honest, you could have done so many years of therapy, you could be the most self-aware person in the room. And as soon as you step in the room with your family, a lot of issues, a lot of limiting beliefs, a lot of insecurities start coming up again. And suddenly, every old wound gets reactivated. In fact, there's even memes online, like after years of therapy, and then as soon as you meet your family, all that therapy goes down the drain. And after spending some time with them, and these old wounds are reactivated, then you start operating from the victim state, the lack state, and the wounded state. And that is a problem for two reasons. The first reason is that your body goes into survival mode, and that affects your nervous system, where you're feeling stressed, you're feeling low, and you literally stop thinking from your higher self. And the second problem is that it shifts your inner frequency. So imagine you tune in on a radio station and you tune in on a positive frequency, so you're going to hear lots of good, happy music. Whereas if you're going to tune in on a negative frequency, you're just going to hear lots of negative music. So if your frequency is going to be lowered because you're spending time with your family, all of a sudden, you're going to start attracting more negative things. So today, I want to help you catch those patterns and rewire your brain so you can enter the holiday season from a place of groundness, neutrality, love, and lots of peace and power. So I'm going to be sharing 7 tips on how to rewire your brain for Christmas and for spending time with family. The first one is remind yourself that their actions reflect their own wounds and not your worth. This is very important. Start taking down notes. So before you walk through that door, ground yourself. Remind yourself that a way a person acts, a way a person shows up in your life has nothing to do with you. And I know that this is a bit hard to believe and to accept, especially if you already have certain limiting beliefs about yourself. But the way people show up in other people's lives is a reflection of their own wounds and their own inner state, and says nothing about you. The way you react to that says a lot about you, but the way a person acts with you says a lot about them and not about you. If I am snappy, if I am in a bad mood, it's because of my own internal state, and it's not my sister's fault or it's not your fault. Think of a time where you were in a bad mood and you didn't feel like talking to people, and you went to work and most probably someone was joking with you and you didn't feel like speaking to them and you ignored them. You put in your headphones and you completely ignored the person. Most probably that person thought that, oh my God, what did I do? Is it about something I said yesterday? Is it because of this? Is it because of that? And it was nothing about them. It was just about you and your own internal state. So this is very, very important to remind yourself that the way someone shows up, the way someone is acting around you has nothing to do with you. And I know you might be thinking, yes, but this person is always nice to everyone except me. And that's okay. Maybe you trigger something in them. Maybe your light triggers something in them. Maybe your energy triggers something in them. Remember, people can only meet you at the level that they've met themselves. So if I am a person that I do not enjoy talking deeply about things, that I like to live life from a surface level, and if a friend of mine is going to come up to me and she's going to start talking to me about deep things, I'm just not going to give her the space to do so because I am not yet ready to dive deep with her. But that says nothing about her worth. That says nothing about who she is as a person. The second tip is to connect to your inner child. Christmas is already an emotionally loaded time, especially since there's this idea that every Christmas should look like a Hallmark Christmas, but that's not true. That's what we see on movies. So given that Christmas is already an emotionally overloaded period in our lives, it is very important to connect with your younger self. Growing up, you might have felt different. Growing up, you might have felt like you're the odd one out. Growing up, you might have felt like there's something wrong with you. And believe it or not, accept it or not, we all operate from our inner child. So we are all in adult bodies, but our brains are still operating from that 3 to 10-year-old self. If growing up you felt that you were always on the backbench, if growing up you felt that you're not as pretty, if growing up you felt that you're not as funny. You're going to still be operating from those limiting beliefs that you've carried since your childhood. You're still going to feel insecure. You're still going to feel wounded. Around your friends, maybe you can feel more you because friends are your chosen family, and most probably you choose good people to be around. But we don't choose our family. And if these wounds were created from being around your family when you were a kid, these wounds are going to be reactivated as soon as you're going to spend time with your family. So it is very important to connect to your inner child. And how do we do this? You do this by closing your eyes before meeting your family and thinking of younger you, maybe 5-year-old you, and literally closing your eyes and imagining this 5-year-old you. And you tell him or you tell her, I love you. I am here for you. I'm not going to abandon you. It's okay. You've got me. I'm not going to leave you alone. You are pretty. You are unique. You are lovable. There's nothing wrong with you. And I promise you that you've got me. And when you're giving these words of reassurance to your younger self, your wounded inner child is going to feel loved. Your wounded inner child is going to feel like there's someone protecting them. So if this little child that's inside of you used to feel not wanted, unloved, not the most pretty family member, not the most funny family member, all of a sudden, when you're going to speak to your inner child, he or she is going to feel seen, heard, loved, wanted. So then it's going to be way easier for your wounds to not get activated when you're spending time with your family. Something else I suggest when it comes to your inner child is that when you're with your family, when you're eating or when you're playing games, it's very important that you keep on connecting to your inner child. And how do you do this? You do not need to close your eyes on the table. You do not need to tell everyone, wait, I need to connect with my inner child. No, because most probably you're going to get more comments and you're going to feel even worse, especially if you just randomly close your eyes on the dining table. So how do we do this? You do this in a way that when you start feeling certain psychosomatic responses in the body, so for example, you start feeling your chest tightening, you start feeling your hands trembling, or when you start feeling tingling feeling in your legs, or when you start feeling like a fiery sensation in all your body, in those moments, that is your alarm that something is happening to your inner child. So when you start feeling these things, it is very important that you think of little you. Again, you don't need to close your eyes. You know who little you is. You think of little you and you go in to save him or her. And in that moment, if someone passes a negative comment about you, what you can do is you can connect to your inner child and just let him or her know, it's okay, I've got you, I'm here for you, I'm not going to leave you alone. You're special, you're unique, and what they're doing and saying is not a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of their wounds and their insecurities. This is really, really important. What I also suggest is that building up to this event, to Christmas Day or to any Christmas activity that you're going to have with your family, that you grab a photo of your younger self and maybe put it on your phone as your screensaver so you can start having a clearer picture of who younger you is, or maybe put a photo of your younger self next to your bedside table near your bed, so to start getting used to who your inner child is. It's very important to give your younger version the protection, the safety, and the love that he or she needed back then. The third tip, just the tip, the third tip is don't people please. Instead, sit with the fear. You do not need to earn your place at the table. If your body wants to start to default to being the fixer, smoothing things, you start feeling tension, that you start feeling the energy of everyone in the room, or being the good girl or being the goody boy, breathe. Take some time, pause, and do not give in to this sensation. Instead, pause, breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 6. Do this as many times as you need, and sit in that pause, sit in that silence. And once you pause and once you breathe, sit with the fear that's coming up. People pleasing happens because we're afraid of being abandoned. People pleasing happens because your brain is telling you, if you do not please, you're going to be abandoned. If you do not do this, if you do not say yes, you're going to be abandoned. You're not going to be liked by everyone. But I'm sorry to break it to you. If everyone likes you in life, there's something wrong. Because if everyone likes you, it means that you don't like yourself. If you're going to keep on saying yes to everyone, it means that you keep on saying no to you. And that little kid inside of you is constantly listening to you. Kid inside of you wants you to say yes to him or to her and not to say yes to everyone. And you keep on saying no to that little kid. That little kid already felt a lot of no's in the past, already felt that he or she wasn't fully seen by the parents or by the family. So if you're going to keep on repeating the same patterns that you felt growing up, you're going to keep on pushing this wounded inner child away instead of giving it love and safety. And you're going to react from that wounded inner child even more. So you're going to throw tantrums, you're going to feel shitty, you're going to feel low, you're going to feel depressed, you're going to feel anger. So it's very important to pause, breathe, and sit with the fear that's coming up. And I have a very good exercise that helps all of my clients and helps me to sit with the fear, to sit with any feeling actually, like anxiety, fear, shame, but the feeling that comes up with people pleasing is fear. If you want this exercise, just send me an email, send me a message, write soul scan, and I'll send you this exercise that is really going to help you sit with the fear of not people pleasing. And when you people please with the expectation of being chosen, with the expectation of being liked. And what happens is you're sending out a direct message to other people that you're pleasing, and you're telling them, my needs and wants don't matter. I don't matter. What are they going to do? They're going to reflect that back to you. They're going to act as if your needs and wants don't matter. They're going to act as if you don't matter. And then what's going to happen is you're going to feel more anger because you said yes to this person, you abandoned yourself, so this person doesn't abandon you. And all of a sudden, this person is acting as if you don't matter. This person is acting as if your needs and wants don't matter. And then you feel more anger because not only did you abandon yourself, but the other person abandoned you too. So it's very important to sit with the fear of not being liked by everyone, to sit with the fear of being abandoned. But the worst abandonment that you could ever experience in your life is the self-abandonment, when you abandon yourself. And think about it. How many times have you people-pleased, overgave in relationships and family dynamics? And the more you gave, the more you pleased, the less attention you got, the less love you got, the less understanding you got. Whereas there would be another person who is very demanding. They never give more than they can. They never please. They just think about themselves. They're very in their own bubble. And that person is respected more. That person is cared for more. That person is loved more. That person is given more attention. And yes, that's the reality of it, because those who do not abandon themselves, they're sending out an energetic message that I matter, I'm important. And when you're sending out that energetic message, people want to be around you. People want some of your energy. So do yourself a favor and stop people pleasing. Nothing good comes out of it anyways, and people are never pleased anyways, so it's not even worth it. Tip 4 is to avoid scrolling on social media. Please avoid this like the plague, because everyone posts their highlight reel on Instagram or on social media. Everyone is posting their Hallmark Christmas, but behind those photos, every single family has their own stuff. Behind those photos, everyone is dealing with their own family dynamics. And yes, of course, there are families who are more secure than others. There are families which are calmer than other families, 100%. But at the end of the day, every family has its own dynamic. At the end of the day, every person feels their own wounds coming up around families. I have clients who, on face value, you would think that they have the normal family, the picture-perfect family, but they go through the same feelings that I used to go through before I did my inner child healing journey. And you'd think, how come? Like, of course, it's understandable that Nicole feels all these feelings, like her mom was a drug addict, her dad was absent, she was fostered, many other things. But when someone comes from a picture-perfect family, it's harder to understand, because we're like, they had everything in their life. They had their mom, their dad, they really helped them. How come they're acting like this? But that's the truth, that even though people come from picture-perfect families, even though people come from what we call normal families, there are still family dynamics happening. And sometimes it's even harder for these people because when you have a mom and a dad who are taking care of you, who are showing up as if we are a normal family, it is harder for people to understand why some people react in a certain way when they come from these normal families. So, as I was saying, because I'm sidetracking, I have clients who come from what we call normal families, but they still feel depressed, they still feel insecure, they still feel lost. So trust me, every single person has their own wounds. Every single person has their own insecurities, their own feelings, emotions. So focus on yourself and do yourself a favor and try to stay away from social media. Social media just shows the highlight reel. And the next step is step 5. And remind yourself that you are not alone because you've got you. And I know this will land differently. Of course, it will feel better in your head that if I had a partner, I would feel happier, I would feel more loved, more held. But first of all, having a partner doesn't always mean that you will feel loved, that you will feel held, because if there are wounds inside of you, most probably you're attracting a wounded person too. And most probably they'll be reflecting back to you the limiting beliefs that you have about yourself, that you're not lovable, you're not wanted, that you're not respected, and all of that. So that's the first reality check, that just because you have a person in your life doesn't mean that you're going to all of a sudden magically feel loved. And secondly, there are couples who are in love, yes, of course. But still, if we have our own feelings, if we have our own wounds, sometimes having a person next to us is not going to make us feel better, but instead, you're just still feeling your own wounds, your own pain, your own emotions. Maybe your partner would have a different family, so you feel not understood. Partner or no partner, just remind yourself that you're not alone because you've got yourself. And I know that this feels different than being around someone holding you, but at the end of the day, the only person that's going to stay in your life for the rest of your life is yourself. So it's very important to remind yourself, to remind your inner child that you're there with him or her, that you're not going to leave, that you're not going to abandon them, that they've got you for the rest of their lives. This is super important. So try as much as possible to regulate yourself through groundness by talking to your inner child, by saying nice positive things about you, by shifting shame and blame into kindness and compassion towards yourself. Because if you're going to keep on trying to feel better through external validation, you're never going to feel better. Number 6, focus on memories and not appearance. Family gatherings out those unwanted comments. When are you getting married? When are you going to make us grandparents? Oh, you've gained weight. Oh, you have another breakout. Oh, this, oh, that. It's very important to not let those comments define you. When those comments start popping up, you can politely tell them to stop asking you questions that you don't want to answer, sit with the fear, pause, breathe, connect to your inner child, let your inner child know that you still love him or love her, even if you have another breakout, even if you've gained weight, even if you still didn't find Prince Charming or your Giulietta, even if you haven't conceived yet or you don't want to conceive. So remind your inner child that you love him or her no matter what. And sit with the fear and then try and speak up for yourself with the family, not from an angry place, but from a polite, vulnerable place, telling them, listen, when you talk about these things, I am feeling anxious, I am feeling sad. I'd rather not talk about these things. Thank you. Very polite, very direct, and still very vulnerable. Because being vulnerable, we think that being vulnerable is weak. But I myself and my clients and people around me, every time I suggest that we act from a vulnerable place, everyone's like, no, no, no. Because it's very scary. When something frightens you, that means that if you do it, that's when you're being tough, not when you avoid it, not when you try to speak up from a place of anger, from a place of macho. Being vulnerable is tough. Being vulnerable is sometimes, it might feel cringe as well. So know that if you manage to speak from a vulnerable place, that you are being very tough and not weak. If you do not manage, do not shame and blame yourself. It's okay, step by step, and we will get there. This is super important, to stop shaming and blaming yourself, to stop all the time being your worst inner critic. Start shifting those thoughts. What is a thought I'd rather think? what is a comment I'd rather give to myself rather than constantly going in front of the mirror and saying, I don't like this, I don't like that. The more you're going to criticize yourself, the more people outside of you are going to reflect that. It's time you start becoming your biggest supporter rather than your worst inner critic. And of course, if you're receiving these comments from outside of you and you already had these thoughts, you're going to feel them even more now. So what you can do in this moment is say, thank you, brain, for trying to keep me safe. However, I am learning new ways. It's a never-ending cycle. So imagine you go in front of the mirror and you criticize yourself. What you're going to see in your outer reality, people are going to reflect just that back to you. People are going to start criticizing you as well. When you're going to get proof from outside of you because people are criticizing you, you're like, you see, it's true I am this, it's true I am that, it's true I gained weight, it's true I have another breakout. So if you want, this sounds cheesy and cliche, but it's true. If you want your outer reality to change, you must change your inner reality first. If you want your reflection in the mirror to change, you must change first. So if I go in front of the mirror, I'm not going to see myself with blonde hair because my hair is black. So what we want to see in our outer reality, in the mirror, changes according to what we do inside. If I dye my hair blonde, I'm gonna see in the mirror myself with blonde hair. But we have to change internally first. If we want our outer reality to change, we must change our inner reality first. And it's not easy, but it takes a lot of persistence. It takes a persistence. It takes a lot of shifting your thoughts, being in control of your thoughts, because once you're in control of your thoughts, once you keep fighting the negative thoughts with positive thoughts, that's when you're rewiring your subconscious brain. That's when the neurons in your brain start taking a different form. That's when different neurons start connecting and wiring together. That's when you can change your outer reality. And once you're in control of your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions are also going to be in control. So if you're in a happy mood, your thoughts are going to also be happy thoughts. Your thoughts are also going to be peaceful thoughts. Your thoughts are also going to be full of gratitude and positivity. So then you're on this cycle of positive things, like positive thought, positive feeling, positive thought, positive feeling. Whereas if you have a negative thought and a negative feeling, then you're going to have more negative thoughts and negative feelings. Simple. But I know it's hard to persist in this, but you need to keep on persisting. Ask yourself, am I going to continue identifying with the victim state, the sad state, the lack state, the wounded state? Do I want to keep on attracting these things into my life? And most probably the answer is no. So it's going to take some work. It's not the end of the world. You will see shifts immediately when you start persisting, but you need to do the work. And if you really want to attract all the good things that you want in your life, if you want to attract your dream house, if you want to attract your dream partner, if you want to attract your dream body, you need to change your thoughts. You need to finally stop identifying with the lack state, with the victim state, and identify yourself with being an abundant person, a loving person, a happy person. And as I said earlier, it takes some work. It takes some persistence. But it's okay. Everything takes some work. Once you start doing this work, it becomes way much easier. It's like you're on a better momentum, a better flowy momentum then. And the last tip, I genuinely love it. This tip saved me 2 Christmases ago, where I was dealing with a breakup and I felt very alone. I felt fear that my life was always going to stay that way. And it really helped me. So basically, the last tip is ask yourself, if my biggest fear came true, how would I choose to live my life? At the time, for me, my biggest fear was that I was always going to be alone. Alone meaning I wouldn't be in a relationship. Alone meaning that I would not have my group of friends to hang out with. And in that moment, I realized that if that had to happen, if my dream of having a family and being surrounded with good people, a good partner and good friends, if that had to become a reality, I realized in that moment, and I journaled down, that what I would do is my other passion, like a very strong passion of mine, is to travel the world and meet people from all around the world. And in that moment, it gave me so much strength, so much clarity. Like all of a sudden, it helped me realize that I am in control of my life and my happiness, and that it's okay if all my Christmases were going to be like 2 Christmases ago, that it's fine if one of my dreams would not come true. And it gives you so much power in knowing that you control your happiness, that there are other ways that you will live a happy, fulfilling life. And this is so true. Like right now in my life, I am single and Christmas is around the corner. My grandma just passed away, but there's still a lot of peace inside my heart. Like I'm happy with my company, I'm happy with the people I have around me, and I'm happy with the plans, with the future plans that I have. And I no longer feel like a victim around this. I know that I am in control of my life, my happiness, and it's okay that sometimes you feel sad around not having what you already want. But it's important to remind yourself that your happiness is your responsibility and no one else's. So basically, if you ask yourself this question, if my biggest fear came true, how would I live my life? This question helps you break from your mental prison. It helps your brain see that even the worst case scenario cannot block your path, your purpose, or your peace. It's really important to journal on this because even if right now you have your person or you have your ideal life, it helps you realize that you hold your power. And when you realize that you hold your power, you stop making people feel responsible for your happiness. Because when we make others feel responsible for our happiness, our security, our safety, that feels like a lot of pressure on the other person. And when there's that much pressure on the other person, it starts repelling them away from us. So it's very important to journal on this, even if you're living your ideal life right now, but just as a reminder that you are your own creator. You have all the power. You've got what it takes. Your happiness is your responsibility. So concluding, I just want to remind you that heaven and hell are states of mind. And during this time of year, when emotions run high, you have to persist in choosing your own heaven. Shift from fear to faith. Every time that fear comes knocking on your door, just remind yourself that you are divinely protected, that there's a higher power taking care of you, that all you need to do is control your thoughts and emotions, and the universe or God will do the rest. And trust in divine timing. What's meant for you will never, never pass you by. And just know that even and I've been on this journey for a long time, there are moments where I have to constantly shift myself from lack to abundance. Like sometimes my thoughts try to bully me and I have to stay on top of them. And it's not always easy, but it's possible. And you can do it too. This journey is not about perfection. If you're aiming for perfection, stop it now because no one's perfect. Nothing is perfect. And this journey is about progress. That doing 1% better than you did yesterday. It's holding yourself in moments where you feel like you're losing yourself. It's knowing that you're capable of holding yourself, of holding your emotions. It's knowing that you've got yourself and you're never going to be alone. It's finding that inner safety inside of you. And with all these tips I shared with you, they're really going to help you. But listening to this, just listening to this is not going to do the 100%. Just listening to this is helping you because at least you're getting used to new ways and you're getting hope that there's a different way. But it's very important you take down notes. It's very important that you read these notes so it helps your subconscious brain to rewire. It's very important that you apply them because I remember our mathematics teacher used to tell us, like, we need to practice maths every day because if you don't, you will never get the hang of it. And that's so true. And it's the same with this. Our brain can be rewired, but we need to train it. The same if you want to grow your glutes, you're at the gym always doing hip thrusts and squats and pumping those weights. You don't go once and expect your booty to magically grow. So it's the same. It's the same with your brain. You just need persistence, love, kindness, shifting shame and blame to kindness and compassion. You need to be kind towards yourself and just treat yourself as if you would treat a 5-year-old. Because the more control you have over your thoughts, the more control you have over your feelings. And the more control you have over your feelings, the better the frequency, which means that then you will be in a position to attract all that you desire. Thank you. I hope this helps and it lands where it needs to land. I wish you a very Merry Christmas. I wish you lots of love, happiness, kindness, and support during this period. And just know you're not alone. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.